Om. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Sehna Bhavatu Sahana Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's start. Suresh, would you like to present your verse or I'll present it? You're on mute.
Okay, I'll only try and share and present it once.
You can. So otherwise, I'll just copy it right now.
Yeah, yeah. Are you able to see it? Are you able to see it? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Suresh.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so sorry. Okay. So, yeah. So, good evening. Salutations to our Gurujis, Paramarthananda, Swami Adi Shankaracharya, and of course, our own Guruji Bidan. So, this is the verse 26. After a wonderful session, when the initial starting of this chapter of what Bidan explained, this is the continuation of that. So it goes like this: Evam Pinda Brahmanda Yoho Aikyam Sambhutam. So there is, in this manner, there is a clear identification between the microcosm and the macrocosm. So the microcosm is called as Pindandam and macrocosm is called the Brahmandam. So sorry for putting up the written one, but I couldn't get the time. So just to go back and have a background to give a clarity, there's quite a bit that we have discussed. Yeah, anything, Vidal?
Not from my side.
Okay. So the Chit, the actual consciousness, has two names for it. Atman at the individual. And Maya is the name of the universe in the seed form. And it is also called as Prakriti or Karana Prapancha. And the whole evolution goes with a flow chart from causal to subtle to gross. And all of this put together with the gunas, sattva guna, rajo guna, and tamo guna, where the sattva guna is the knowing faculty, and rajo guna is the doing faculty, and tamo guna is the resting faculty. All of this put together creates the universe. Now, the internal organ, the same organ has four functional names. That is the mind, intellect, memory, and ego. I think each one of them have been beautifully explained by Bidan in the last class. So I'm just going with the background of it. So, Karana Shariram, the causal body, will go away at the time of liberation, enlightenment. It remains even as the Stula Shariram leaves us. It remains even through the pralayas, many pralayas. So it will go away only when we have a complete liberation or the enlightenment. And Sukshma Shariram will resolve at the time of pralayam. Sthula Shariram will resolve at the time of maranam. So finally, the conclusion of Shrishti is through the Pindanda Brahmand Yoho Yam Sambhutam, where between the microcosm and the macrocosm, there is a pair of shariras and prapanchas. That is the gross body and the gross universe, subtle body and the subtle universe, and causal body and the causal universe. Now the microcosm and the macrocosm both are identical, as both are made up of the same raw material. So your gross body and the gross universe is nothing but the Panchabhuta. Subtle body and the subtle universe is Pancha Sukshma Bhuta. It is the purest form of the Panchabhutas. And the causal bodies are the same thing in the potential seed form. So the three pairs together is called the cosmos or the universe. So between Pindandam and Brahmandam, it's the causal, subtle, and the gross states for both. Both are matter and made out of 5 elements. And both are subject to modification. Hence, they are able to identify with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Suresh. Any questions from anyone? Right, so we can go to the next topic. The person can present themselves.
Vedant, I just have one question. I don't remember what is pralaya when he said, it happens during the pralaya. Can you just quickly explain that?
Suresh, you want to pick it up, or?
I would require you to tell it.
Okay. So pralaya is a technical word which is basically used where there is a dissolution of all the subtle bodies as well. So what happens is that after death, the general understanding is that during death, the gross body disintegrates, but the subtle body continues to be there. However, there is a state wherein there is a particular event called pralaya, where the entire universe goes into a seed form, which is into an unmanifest form. So that is what is at that point of time, there is absolutely no Sukshma Sharira also, or there is no subtle body in the universe. If you recall that how the evolution of universe happened, it started from Maya. Earlier there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. There was no space. There was no time. There was no causality. There was no nothing as well, right? Even nothing is some sort of an understanding. So there was a state which is beyond something and nothing, right? So there was a state which is beyond something and nothing, and that state is basically in which where everything is into a potential state, that is Maya. And from there, we saw that Panch Bhutanis, or what we call Tanmatras, came into picture. You had Akash, Sukshma Akash, Sukshma Vayu, Sukshma Agni, Sukshma Jalam, and Sukshma Prithvi came. So initially the subtle uh, bodies came in, and each of them had their own characteristics, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamoguna. Basis those Sattva, Rajas, and Tamoguna, the entire um, subtle body of the universe was created. And from the subtle body of universe, then there was something called Panchikaranam, and therefore the gross body was created. So you can see that there was a point of absence of everything. Then there was something subtle, and then there is something gross, right? So that means the gross moves out. When the gross moves out, that is death. When the subtle moves out, that is pralayam. That everything goes into a seed form. There is no subtle also. So that event in which even the subtle bodies of the universe or a person dissipates, moves back into Karana Sharira, that is called Pralayam. So you can mostly say that Nidra, deep sleep, where your subtle body is also not present. This is sort of a mini Pralayam. So when the universe goes through a Pralayam, so there is absence of complete gross and subtle bodies.
So, Bidan, what you are saying is that we are going back to the same place as what it was before creation started, before Maya came into existence. But
Maya
we are
was
going
always there.
to the destruction.
Before Maya was always there. So the entire creation went back into Maya,
Okay.
into the potential state. There was no subtle, there was not even subtle bodies there,
Okay. Okay.
which is
But
called,
this is happening due to destruction, right? That is when it is called Pralaya.
yeah, you can use the word destruction, but that the words where that generally which is used is manifestation and unmanifestation.
Okay.
Dissolution.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Bidan, the next level of the causal body, it says that when you reach liberation. So, what does that mean? So,
Okay. Right. I'm just thinking how to explain this. When you say, so it's like when you wake up to your, so let's take example of a deep sleep, right? So in deep sleep, there is absence of your subtle body and also the experience of the gross body. Both of them are absent. The experience in deep sleep is absent, isn't it? In dream sleep, at least you're experiencing the subtle body. In waking state, you are experiencing both subtle body and gross body. But in deep sleep, there's an absence of experience of gross body and the subtle body. But does it mean that the subtle body is no longer there? It is there. It is in a potential state. Therefore, once you wake up, right, the entire world gets projected through your subtle body, right? So everything goes into a potential state. So in dream sleep, the word pralayam, the word I mentioned is that everything has gone into a very, very potential state. It is not manifested, but still it is there. It is there yet to get manifested. But there comes a state where there is no point that there will not be any manifestation in itself. The seed itself is no longer there. You have basically come to a state where there is no further manifestation of subtle and gross body will ever happen. That is a state of liberation. Basically, it's in a much more simpler way, if you have to understand, when you are in a dream, you basically have a lot of experiences. But when you wake up, the dream world disappears. You actually wake up to your higher self, to your higher reality. And that is what it means, that when you wake up to your higher reality, which is consciousness, which is Atman, which is Brahman, then those potentiality of you getting drawn back into the worldly affairs, either through the subtle or the gross body, completely dissipates. So you are no longer going to come back. So it is not even there in the potential state. The potentiality itself has been removed.
So you become the Brahman.
Yeah. You're enlightened, yes. The potentiality itself has been removed. So all your prarabdha has been, so you will, basically there are three parts of karmas. One is sanchita karma, and then is prarabdha karma. All your sanchita karma, all your baggages, all your memory, all your records are all burnt. And you will live your prarabdha karma in this lifetime. So all the past memories is burnt. The present prarabdha you will live through, and then you will not be born again. Because there is no longer baggage. There is no more things that you need to do. The potentiality is completely.
No more Maya. You
Yeah.
just get into the Brahman.
Yeah. I mean, you become Brahman. You become absorbed into, it's like a stream basically getting back into the river. So you cannot actually distinguish which is the stream and which is the river. You sort of become merged with it. There is no longer, the characteristics of the stream is no longer there.
Thank you.
Varsha, you are next, or?
Oh, I'm shloka number 28.
Okay, so it's you, Kaushal, right? So you want me to present, or you'd like to present yourself?
I would like to try.
Please do.
But I think we just did 26. Somebody needs to do 27. Or we're not.
I'll be doing 27.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a sec. I'll just try to cast my.
Yeah.
Can you see the slide?
No.
Can you see it now?
No.
You want me to present it, Varsha?
Yeah, I think you just present it.
This is the one, right?
Yeah. Go to the second slide. This way. Yeah. So this is how the shloka reads. स्थूल शरीर अभिमानी जीव नामक ब्रह्म प्रतिबिंब भवति स एव जीव प्रकृत्य स्वस्मात् ईश्वरं भिन्नत्व जानति. So it says sthula sharir abhimani, that which identifies with the gross body, jiva namak, called the jiva, brahma pratibimba, the reflection of the Brahman or the consciousness, bhavati. Sa eva, he alone. Jiva, individual. Prakritya, by nature. Swasmat, from himself. Ishvara, the Lord, Bhinnitva Janati, as different knows. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so before we go to further in the presentation, let's just go through a few words that will be coming again and again for all of us to understand the shloka in a better way. So we'll start. So there are three words which will be coming again and again here. The first is OC, the original consciousness. RC, the reflected consciousness. RM, the reflected material. So we'll start with OC. OC, the original consciousness. We also call it Brahman or Brahma Bimba Chaitanyam. So we have already studied in our last chapter also, and just now Suresh also explained a little bit about Brahman. So we all know what Brahman is. So so we know that the Brahman, the original consciousness, is ever pervasive, and it has no beginning or the end. It just exists. So even if the pralayam happens or anything, nothing that is there in our understanding that we understand through manifestations, everything, still the Brahman exists. So so Brahman is something, in the Brahman, nothing happens, but everything is happening in the presence of Brahman. So let's understand this with one more example. I think then we'll be able to understand it in a better way. So let's take an example of sun. So if so when sun is there, so our entire life is affected by sun. So when without sun we cannot have this life. So all the transaction we are having in this lifetime on this world is because sun is there, the light is there. So if we, but all the transaction in our world is happening in the presence of sun or the sunlight, but sunlight is not the participant. Similarly, Brahman is reflecting through all of us, and we are all functioning because of the Brahman. We are all sentient, all the jivas are there. We are all sentient because of the consciousness, the original consciousness. But consciousness is not participating, like the sunlight is not participating. Yeah. So hence the Brahman or Atma Chaitanyam is the propertyless. It has no shape, no form, no attribute to it. It is changeless, formless, or attributesless. Now, let's try to understand, like, Brahman is something that, our physical brain, or we don't recognize it per se, that, like we can see our body, we can relate to our body, we can relate to, the limbs and the action and the plants and everything, but we cannot see or feel Brahman. So why is it that we can't see it? Like, what is it? So, so we can understand this a bit with one more example. So we all know that if we are in a room where, there is probably a furniture in it, and if somebody asks, what is it that you can see in the room? The first thing we'll say is the furniture. But after all these studies, we already know that, how everything, how this world came into existence, and then, how after with Brahman and Maya, the Big Bang happened, and the, each and every elements came into existence. So any room or anything which is there around us, the first thing which exists is the space and not the object. But it's our, but our mind always recognize the object first, then the space. But even if we can't see it from our eyes, or we don't have a sakshi or proof per se to identify from our body, but we still know that the A space exists after all these studies. So why does that happen? So as our mind is very wired for the survival thing. So something which is there, always present around us, we tend to not acknowledge it, or we ignore it. That's why the space which is everywhere there, it's always there, but we tend to ignore it. Similarly, to me, I feel that's where we are not able to uh, recognize the supreme consciousness, the original consciousness, because our mind is always focused on objects with nama rupa. So something something which has a nama rupa, that's the only thing that my mind is able to identify it. So but it is nothing but, I think, conditioning for the survival, probably. Now we'll go to the next slide. Can we go to the... So now from the consciousness, let's move to so we already have studied in our last chapters about the origin and construct of our existence, where we studied how Jagat was created and how elements and everything came into picture. So we already know that so we understand now from our last slide on OC that we can identify those objects with Nama Rupa. Now this Nama Rupa is nothing but the material made from three bodies, that is causal, subtle, and gross body. If you all remember from the last few sessions where we've been discussing about all these, and Bidhan also just summarized like how we got into we form these bodies. So all these Nama Rupa, now these Nama Rupa is nothing but the material made from the three bodies, as we studied in our last chapter. So these material with Nama Rupa are actually called as reflected material. So we know this materials are different. Okay, so the consciousness reflected through two different material. One is microcosm and the other one is macrocosm. Microcosm is where it happened at the individual level, and macrocosm happened at the universal level. And so we can say that the reflected material is nothing but the material body plus universe, which serves as the medium of manifestation for the consciousness. So let's understand this with an example again, so that it's easier for us to relate to. So we all know that the electricity, we all have electricity, right now we are communicating also, it's through electricity. So the electricity is there across, but we can't see the electricity until unless it is manifested through a reflected material, such as the bulb, a fan, AC, or this laptop per se, where we are communicating. So similarly, if electricity is consciousness, the reflective material for that electricity are bulb, fan, and AC. Similarly, the consciousness is there, original consciousness, and the reflective materials are the bodies at micro and macro cosmic levels. So, furthermore detail we'll see in the next slide. Can we go to the next slide again? Yeah. So reflected consciousness. Now the third point is reflected consciousness. So it's only through these three pairs of the bodies, the causal, subtle, and gross body at macro and micro level, I mean, the consciousness is capable of reflecting. Sorry, what am I saying? So it is only through these three pairs of bodies at micro and macro cosmos are capable of reflecting the Atma Chaitanyam. So we'll understand that with an example of mirror in the dark room. So mirror in the dark room, cannot reflect anything. Like I cannot, if I'm there in the dark room, I cannot see anything in that mirror. There's no reflection. Though there is the medium, reflective material is there, but there is no consciousness or no light to reflect through it to project a image. So until unless the sunlight comes and reflects on the mirror, and then you can see the image. So similarly, the consciousness, if the consciousness is sun, it reflects on the object or the reflected material. So the reflection which is coming, which is reflecting through the material is called the reflected consciousness. So, this is one example. And then the body becomes a reflective medium for the consciousness and the matter becomes sentient. Otherwise, the matter is insentient until the consciousness reflect on that matter. So the question is the life or sentiency in the body is original consciousness? Let's go to the next slide. So the answer is no. Let's understand how, let's explain this with an example of moon and the moonlight. So the moon, we all know, we are all moon has a lot of effect in our life, and a few days back only we had full moon. So so we all know, we all call it, we all have seen the moon and the moonlight, and we all call it moonlight, but we all are aware that it is the light which is we are calling moonlight is not actually a moonlight. It is the sun's light reflecting on moon, and we are perceiving as the moonlight. So the the moonlight here is the reflected consciousness. So the sun is the consciousness, the reflected material is the moon, and a reflected consciousness is the moonlight. The Atma lends the consciousness to the body, and body borrows Atma. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so let's relook at what we just saw in the first slide on original consciousness is what we call Brahman, the Bimba Chaitanyam. It's the Atma or the sentient being, which is from the example we just had, is the sun. Reflected consciousness is the Brahma Pratibimba Chaitanyam, which is a borrowed consciousness. That is moonlight. The reflected material is the inert matter or insentient being. The example is moon or the individual body. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So now we are moving into the concept of Jiva and Ishvara. Let's try to understand what is Jiva and what is Ishvara, what is the nature of it, and how it is different from each other. So again, it's the repetition of what we have already learned. So we all know from the consciousness, from the original consciousness with the Maya, the Jagat was Utpatti of Jagat happened, and it reflects that consciousness reflect at two level, at the microcosmic level and the macrocosmic level. Now, at the microcosmic level, we have three body, which is different from the macrocosmic level. At macrocosmic level, we have three universal body, again, causal, subtle, and gross universe. Okay, and all six of these has individual. We can say that these are individual reflected material. Consciousness is one, and there are six reflective material. Now, when the consciousness reflects through each of these materials, we get different reflected consciousness. So the reflected consciousness at the micro level of causal, subtle, and gross body are called Pragya, Taijasa, and Vishwa respectively. Whereas at the macro level, it's called Antaryami, Hiranyagarbha, and Virata. So at the body level, at the individual, at the micro level, the reflection is called Jivatmas. Whereas at macro level, it is called Paramatma. So Jivatma is reflection of consciousness. Paramatma is also reflection of consciousness, is reflecting consciousness. But the original consciousness, the OC, is not only Jivatma or Paramatma, but it is more expensive. It is much more than just Jivatma or Paramatma, whereas Jivatma and Paramatma cannot exist until the consciousness is reflecting through them. So Jivatma and Paramatma is dependent on the consciousness. So we can also say that the RC depends upon the RM, reflective materials. So all the so consciousness is one, but when it is reflecting through one body, it is a different reflected consciousness. So reflected consciousness depends upon the reflecting body. Yeah, like in the chart you can see there are different RC, RC1, RC2, RC3. So and further, if we break it further, like at the Jivatma level, because we'll be able to relate it in a better way. At Jivatma level, into our kingdom, the reflective consciousness again reflect through different reflective materials, like, we have human being, and then the animals, and then there is plant kingdom. And within human being also, everybody is reflecting the consciousness in a different way. So let's just take an example, like, how we see a teacher and a student example, probably. So maybe, we all know there is one teacher who will be teaching probably 1,000 students. And those thousands, each one of those thousands will turn out differently. Right? So why is that happening? That is depend, all 1,000 are turning differently. Why? Because they have different reflective material. They have different construct to follow, to reflect that learning that they are getting from that teacher. So similarly, that's why we said that each reflective consciousness depends upon the reflective material. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so now, so what do we call Jiva and Ishvara then? So now we understand the reflection depends upon the reflective medium. And if the mirror, so we can say, we can, like, we can understand it like, we say if the mirror, whatever property of the mirror is, that's how the reflection will be. So if the mirror is bright, dirty, or small, the reflection will be same, bright, dirty, or small. So, So now we understand that Jiva and Ishvara is reflecting that one consciousness, but it is reflecting at different medium. Jiva is reflecting at the micro medium, whereas Ishvara is reflecting at the macro medium. Because of that medium, the medium that it is reflecting to, it has certain characteristic. Okay, so the Jiva, because it's reflecting through micro medium, has a limit, is Alpa Janaha and has Alpa Shakti, that is limited knowledge and power. At the same time, Ishvara is Sarva Jana, Sarva Shakti, that is expansive in its knowledge and power than Jiva. So that's where, Jiva finds a difference between the Jiva and Ishvara. So these two both has this same OC, but reflecting through different reflecting material. So the difference is only the upadhi or the distorting reflective medium. Right. So, Jiva knows that the Ishvara is superior or virtuous due to reflection on the macro medium. But Atma in itself has no inferior or superior quality. It is just reflecting the attributes and quality, attributes or quality of the reflecting material. Right? So, so when we remove the distorting medium from both of it, then what it becomes? It becomes a Nirguna Atma. It becomes that original consciousness, which just Vedant explained that, it all goes into a potential form. That's what is, that's what we call a Nirguna Atma. So, yeah, so now we go to the next slide. So that's where, all our journeys are into. We, as a spiritual seeker, we are trying to understand that what are natural. We all know now that, we are the original conscious, the Brahman. We all are Brahman. We are not limited through our reflective medium or the reflected consciousness. We are all reflecting the same one consciousness through the medium that we have got here. So, we need not to get attached with it so much, or we need not to see others differently. I know it's very like, one thing to say and one thing to experience, but yeah, the day we will understand that, nobody is different, we'll start looking at everyone at the same level, and we start looking ourselves also at in a abheda drishti. That's when we will find our own self. So our journey is from dasoham to soham, from bheda to abheda, dvaityam to advaityam, and from where we have started to a concluding point of I am that I am, Tattvamasi. That's all from my side. Asha and Sapna, if you want to add anything, please do. I might have missed something.
Very well spoken, Varsha. I think you covered all the points very nicely.
Thank you.
So amazing, I think. I was also learning. I definitely didn't do much, but I think I enjoyed the entire thing. It was explained so beautifully.
It was a lot to take in when I was making it. But yes, it's nice. I think we all are reaching there. One more thing I just want to put in here that, I read it somewhere, I don't remember where, maybe in the notes only, that, we, like when it comes to space, like, now with science, we understand it, even if we can't see it, we know it is there and we believe it. Similarly, I would say that, we need to believe in the consciousness, we need to believe in the that it exists, instead of questioning. And when we did our first session, first few chapters, I think, then they were saying, it was said that, we need to have the faith and the belief in it. It's the first step of understanding something. So we all just have to, like, drop all our conditioning and baggage and just know that we are all the OC, original consciousness.
Thank you, Varsha. I could see a lot of effort that has gone in making this presentation. Sure that there's quite a lot of time all three of you, and especially you, Varsha, have put in to put this together.
Thank you.
So can you just go to the first shloka now? And can you just read it out, the one which is below?
You want me to read it out? Sthula Sharir Abhimani,
The English version.
the reflection, as it were, of Brahman in Sukshma Sarira, which identifies itself with the gross body, is called Jiva. This Jiva, by nature, the ignorance, takes Ishvara to be different from himself.
Okay, thank you. I'll just take some time to kind of explain this concept, which Varsha has put it together, because it's a very important concept that has been brought in, and they call it Tattvabodha. So there are two schools of thoughts in Advaita itself. What Varsha brought out right now is Tattvabodha. This is basically to answer the question that we all may have, that why, if consciousness is everywhere, why do I feel the localized presence of consciousness in my body? I don't see consciousness. If Brahman is everywhere, why does it feel that the life only shines within me? Isn't it? That's how it feels like. You feel a localized presence. You don't feel expanse, don't you? Right?
Now, after all the sessions, we know that. Earlier, we didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Life is shining only through, even through me. We thought that this is who I am, the body and the mind.
Yes. So the point here is, and what you will go, there's a specific text called Drish Viveka, which does a lot of elaborate work in terms of trying to make you understand how the experience happens. Why do you feel? So their point here is that there is something called reflected consciousness, right? That is, Pratibimba is what Varshanjali was talking about. They also call it Chidabhasa. What it means is that the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, has the ability to reflect consciousness or to express consciousness. Right? So what happens is, it feels as if that my mind is conscious. It feels as if my body is conscious. Because the Sukshma Sharira has the ability to reflect consciousness. Is it okay? So there are Karana, Sukshma, and Sthula Sharira. And therefore it feels but the consciousness does not belong to your mind. It does not belong to your Sukshma Sharira. It is, as Varsha was giving a very beautiful example, that it feels as if the light is coming from the moon. Therefore, we call it a moonlight. But it's not actually a moonlight. In the most technical way, it is actually a sunlight. What you're experiencing in the night is the sunlight, which is reflected by the moon. And therefore, we call it moonlight. Right? Similarly, the body or the mind reflects the original consciousness. This reflection of the consciousness in my mind feels like me. Feels like me, just like it feels as if it's a moonlight. It feels as if there is consciousness inside me because of the mind reflecting the consciousness. The other example which Varshanjali gave was of a mirror. Suppose if the sun is shining and the reflection of the mirror happens, a reflection of the sun happens in the mirror, then mirror can actually lit up the entire room. And if you ask the child, where is the light coming from? What will the child say? It is coming from the mirror. But does the light belong to the mirror? It doesn't. The light actually belongs to the sun. Mirror is just a reflecting medium, but it appears as though the source of light is from the mirror. Therefore, when my subtle body reflects the original consciousness, it feels as though that there is consciousness which is coming from inside me. Do you get it? Now, you will see that there are people who are expressing this consciousness in a different level. An ant will express a certain level of consciousness. A plant will express a certain level of consciousness. A human being will express a certain amount of consciousness. Between two human beings, they will express two different levels of consciousness. It will depend upon the quality of their Sukshma Sharira. The quality of the mind that we hold will therefore reflect the amount of consciousness, which is it's as simple as this. The quality of the mirror, the reflection of the light depends upon the quality of the mirror. If the mirror is clean and pristine, the reflection of the light is beautiful. If the mirror is not clean, the reflection of the light is not too great. But it's nothing to do with the light in itself. It's the reflecting medium. So each one of us have those reflecting medium within ourselves, which reflects the original consciousness. Right? Is it okay for all of you? And therefore, everybody will go through a certain level of evolution. The evolution happens of the reflecting medium, but not of the original consciousness. So if you were to look at yourself, you basically see yourself, there are two aspects in you. One is the original consciousness, and another is the medium which is reflecting this consciousness. The medium which is your Sukshma Sharira. Basically, your Sukshma Sharira is reflecting that consciousness through your body, right? So what Varshanjali was trying to tell that, look, you now have a choice. Either you identify yourself with the reflected consciousness and call yourself a jiva. Either you identify yourself with the reflected consciousness and call yourself a jiva, or you identify yourself with original consciousness and call yourself a Brahman. Depends upon where your identification is. That's what she quickly spoke about a little bit about upadhi. So if I'm kind of calling myself as body and mind, then I'm identifying with the reflected consciousness. And then she kind of beautifully said that it's not only this body and mind. If this body and mind reflects consciousness, imagine the universal body and mind, which means universal body and mind is also expressing and reflecting consciousness. If my mind is reflecting consciousness, so what about universal mind? Right? Universal mind, which is called Hiranyagarbha or Mahat, whatever name that we give, even that is reflecting the consciousness. The reflected consciousness at the level of universe is called Paramatma. The reflected consciousness at the level of universe is called Paramatma. The reflected consciousness at the level of this body and mind is called Jivatma. So at the level of Jivatma and Paramatma, what is the difference? The difference is at the level of the reflecting medium. The reflecting medium of universe is far superior than this reflecting medium, isn't it? So therefore, the God is far more superior than me, because the reflecting medium of the universe is far bigger compared to this reflecting medium. So at the reflecting medium, there is a Dvaitam. There is a difference. There is a God and there is a me. But if you identify yourself with the consciousness that expresses either through this body and mind or through universal body and mind is one and the same. So at the level of consciousness, it is Advaitam. It is one consciousness, or even one is a wrong word to use. It is a non-dual consciousness, which is expressing itself through all body and mind, including Jivatma and Paramatma. So the point is, where is your identification? Your identification is at the level of body and mind or at the universal body, all at consciousness. And therefore they say Tat Tvam Asi. What is Tat? Tat is that. That is the Paramatma. Tvam is you, Jivatma. Asi is. So both Paramatma and Jivatma, both God and you is one and the same, not at the level of body and mind, not at the level of reflected consciousness, but at the level of original consciousness. So this is a very complicated word. So Rashanjali, thank you so much for explaining this. But this is the essence of what she was trying to say. Right? So quickly look at the verse again, so we sort of get it properly. Now you can read the verse. The reflection of Brahman in Shukshma Sharira, which identifies itself with the gross body, is called Jiva. This is what she said, right? This Jiva by nature takes Ishvara to be different from itself. I believe Ishvara is separate from me because I am identified at the level of body and mind. I am identified at the level of reflected consciousness. But at the level of original consciousness, both the Atma and Paramatma, or Atma within the body and Brahman outside, is one and the same. Does it all make sense to each one of you now if you look at this verse? Is it okay? Any questions? Any questions anyone has? No? All right. So we'll go to the last verse with caution. Caution, you would like to present or you won't want me to present this?
Let me have a go at it.
Okay.
And then if I fall short, please pitch in.
Sure.
Thank you. Are you presenting?
Oh, you want me to present? Oh, sorry.
Yes. It's just the one slide, the shloka.
I'll just check if this is coming. Is it coming? No?
No,
Right.
I did mail it to you.
Yeah, no, you have. Actually, there are too many slides and it kind of gets a little confusing. So which slide to show? Yours is slide number 28, right? Yeah, just a minute. Yeah.
So I think the meaning of this shloka is straightforward, but let me read it. Avidya upadhi san atma jivaha iti uchyate. The consciousness, the jiva, atma, conditioned by avidya is called jiva. So here, I think the upadhi, this word, I think is something that we need to look at quite closely. It seems to have a few meanings, I think, in Sanskrit. Upa means near, and adhi also means near. Okay? So when we mistake that which is near us as us, that is called upadhi. Okay, so we are making that mistake of thinking of because it is conditioned by avidya. What is the avidya that we are talking about? Karana Sharira is also called avidya, maya. Yes, so with that condition, we mistake we mistake I think it is the BMSC, right? The body mind sense complex as us, and we fail to understand the jiva as the consciousness. Okay, so upadhi also has a meaning of equipment. Now, our mind is an equipment, but the confusion remains that the mind itself is taken as, because of the avidya, is taken as something that is us. This is I am, the mind I am. It is not the consciousness that I am, but the mind as I am. Okay. So the jiva is, so basically we are deluded by avidya. Upadhi also means that which limits. Okay, so projected by my own maya, we confine ourselves to this body mind sense complex, and we say the I is this body, the mind. We are identifying with that, but we are not identifying ourselves with the jiva and beyond that. Okay, so when we say jiva and then we say Paramatma, we say also the Brahman. So we seem to be veiled from that truth. Without the upadhis, that is, in the absence of the upadhis, jiva would be identical to the Ishvara, and yeah. And yes, I completely, today I was sending off some pretty desperate messages to Bidhan that it is not sitting right in the mind, and I can see that it has come out through my talk. So Bidhan, if you could please jump in and give us a better understanding of this shloka, I would be very thankful.
So Kaushal, you have explained it. I mean, it's very clear.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm sure I see a lot of confused faces on the screen. So please, I mean, yeah.
So this is in continuation to what Vashanjali was talking about. This is the same thread which they're holding on to. What is upadhi? As you said, upadhi is something that is very near. Upa is near. Dhi, right? Something which is very near. So which is near to you? Say a car is not near to you, right? But your body is near to you. And near to your body is your prana. Nearer to your prana is your mind, your thoughts. Nearer to your mind and thoughts are your beliefs, your intellect. So something that is very near to you, you the Atman, identify yourself with those upadhis. You identify saying, I am this body, because it's very near to me. It's very proximate to me. You don't say, I'm my car, but you say, I am the body, right? Similarly, sometimes when you start using lenses instead of eyeglasses, sometimes you may end up calling the lenses as you if you didn't know that the lenses could be taken away from you. So anything which becomes very proximate to ourselves, we sort of start identifying with them, and we start calling that as I, that as me, instead of the Atman, which is the very awareness, which is the very experiencer of those upadhis, of the objects. So instead of calling myself as the experiencer, I end up calling myself as body, mind, sense organs. And why does this happen? It happens on account of avidya. What is avidya? Avidya is my inability to recognize myself as consciousness, but as a body-mind complex. It's as good as when you get into a dream, you identify yourself with the dream body, isn't it? So that's the upadhi there. The dream body is an upadhi. You get identified yourself with a dream body. Why do you get identified yourself with the dream body? Because you have forgotten, because of avidya, you have forgotten that you are the sleeper. You don't know that you are the sleeper. In a dream, if someone comes and tells you, hey, this is not real, you are actually sleeping. You are the very consciousness which has created this entire dream world. You are the very person, this body and mind is not you, but it is a different entity which is pervading through this body and mind. You will say, what the hell are you talking to me about? You do not know the fact that you are the one which you are sleeping because of avidya, because of ignorance. I'm just taking an example to sort of give a perspective to this. So if we're also in the waking state, we do not know that we are the consciousness, the very consciousness which is experiencing all my thoughts and body and every object, the very consciousness which is in and through all the experiences. And this happens on account of avidya. So this consciousness, the Atma, gets conditioned by Upadhi. That's what this means. And therefore, when it is conditioned by Upadhi, we call ourselves as Jiva. Is this okay? Perfect. Any questions on that? No?
Vidhan, I have a question.
Hmm.
So even if you don't identify yourself with this mind or the thoughts or the beliefs, you still a jiva, right? I mean,
You still experience them.
yeah. Though, I mean, of course, it's not easy for us to disidentify always, but yeah, whenever you have the consciousness that you are not your mind, you're not your body, you're not your emotions, you're still a jiva, because that consciousness is bounded in that the reflected material, is it?
Yes. So this reflection is what we are calling ourselves as Jivatma. So reflected consciousness, the consciousness is getting reflected or expressed. So the point here is that they are asking us to shift our attention to who we are, be a lot more aware, be a lot more mindful, be a lot more observant of the one which is observing rather than the observations. And if this process holds on for a fairly longer period of time, what will naturally happen is a sense of vairagya will set in. Because this is what they talk about. This is what the discrimination they're talking about. This is what they talk about, your ability to discern, right? So when you start discerning this, a sense of vairagya will set in. And when the sense of vairagya will set in, automatically that you're asking for will happen by itself. It's a process.
Yeah.
It may not happen immediately because of the conditioning, because of avidya. But the fact of the matter that we are going through this session, so first of all is the awareness. Once we start being a lot more aware that I'm the consciousness, I'm the very awareness, and then we move to a little bit more of analysis. We start off thinking about it, and then a little bit of an experience that I become a lot more observant of who is the one which is observing. And that's how the process will be.
I want to add something here. So actually, realizing that I am the consciousness does not mean that I disidentify myself with this body and mind. I am in a broader perspective, I am the consciousness, while remembering that I am not getting attached to all the identities for myself and also around the surrounding also. So the life becomes very easy, like, you don't see too much of difference. So it's not like, you come to a place which is very balanced. It's soothing, like, when you and I are same, then there is no quarrel, like, I understand you. That, if we are having a fight, I understand you, because I'm not identifying you as different than me. So life becomes, I think, a little easy when we are not so attached with all the identities. So the avidya goes, the veil is uncovered. So I think it's a blissful phase to be in, while still knowing that I am in this body and enjoying everything that I have around. And the whole perspective, I think, shifts to an extent, and it's more easier, I feel. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think it's a hard thing to do. I think, for me, if I were to think, okay, I am the oxygen tomorrow, everyone is breathing oxygen. We are all made of carbon, right? So essentially, that makes us all similar. And can we live with that truth? And can we actually say, now I'm not this and I'm going to be just the oxygen and carbon, right? Because we are all made of that. I'm saying, while theory wise, it's great, but I think there's so much we have to, I guess, go through before we, even those sentences start making more sense to us. Or
I think
even,
we'll also have to agree that this is also acceptable to be identifying myself with the identities that I have got, but not getting too attached, because that is also reality and this is also my reality. So we can live with both the things instead of just going to one.
true, but having said that, if you go back to the definition of jiva, right, the jiva is there because of reflected consciousness. The sentience feeling is the one that has caused the jiva to arise. So if that feeling is not there, there is no jiva. I mean, if that ignorance is not there, there is no jiva also,
Yeah, we
right?
will not survive.
So no, you don't need to survive. Then you are basically saying that you're beyond all that. But
Yeah.
I'm the basic construct I'm saying in Advaita is, I think this is the construct which is, while we understand, the question is how much can we apply it and live with it and make it a part of our experience in our day-to-day life, right? So
Absolutely.
I think that is something. Yeah, the obviously the construct and the whatever is taught makes sense. But if I get up the next day and tomorrow I'm just going to be the same and I'm going to react the same way with everyone, that step is what that's a big step, I feel, to cross.
So why don't we take this up when we are meeting on the offside, and this is a specific portion that you're talking about, Asha, that how do we practically put something to it. So let's do that.
Yeah.
We can discuss that as well. All right, then let's do our prayers and we'll catch up again next week. And if there are any further questions after the prayer, please feel free to ask. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much and see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. It was a great presentation, Harsha.